I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest with you.
What?
That this part is my least favorite part of the show.
Why?
It's very exhausting to me.
Fine. Welcome to the OC, bitch.
What you say?
I told you that it's time to start the show.
That you only meant well.
Yeah, the show's gonna do
Of
well.
course you did. What you say?
I said let's go.
That it's all for the best.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like the best podcast.
What you say?
God, do I have to keep repeating myself?
That's just what we need. You decided this.
Hold up, I
What
thought we
you
both
say?
decided to do this.
What did she say?
I said let's start the show.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to What You Say, an OC podcast. My name is Elyse Daly.
And I'm Scott Daly.
Together,
We're the Dailies. Yes, this is the podcast where each and every week we head out to Los Angeles to go to Collin Hanks' birthday party. This week we watched the OC Season 1, Episode 22, The L.A. See, because it's like the OC.
Yeah, you established that last week because you
I
were
just-
wondering why.
Some people might not make it all the way to the end, so I just wanted to make sure they heard that. That's the
What
joke.
do you mean some people might not make
Some
it all the
people-
way to the end?
Do you know that some people turn off the podcast before it's over? Some sacrilegious people. I can't believe it, but apparently it happens.
I do that to you all the time.
Wow. The end is the most important part. That's when the Patreon link goes. Everyone, you should go to patreon.com/doofmedia and donate $1 a month or whatever else you can afford to help ensure we keep making new shows.
Yeah, so when we don't get money, that's because people never finish to the
You
end.
don't finish the podcast.
Now there's no excuse because you just did it right there.
There you, yes, thank
Right?
you for explaining
Yeah.
the bit. That's
Yeah.
very helpful.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
That's what my lot in life is.
Hey, at least
explaining your jokes.
we've been to LA before.
We have, and you
It
want
is
to go
not-
there again this summer.
It is not like the LA that we saw in this episode, though.
It's not, no. But before we get into this episode and talk about the LA some more, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite section, the Rosies and Thornies.
At least I forgot to put the music in last week's episode. Actually, if I'm being honest, I didn't forget to put the music in. I was just toying with the idea of phasing out the music, and people noticed, and I can't. I have to keep
okay.
the music in.
So this is the part of the podcast where Scott and I look back on the week and talk about the good and the bad, the Rosies and the Thornies. As always, we're going to start with the bad. And because I didn't really have anything notably bad, we're just going to jump right into Scott and what Scott's thorn was for this past week.
Well, my thorn ties to my rose, so
Okay.
so this past week, Elise and I celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary. That's
Yes.
right. The wedding experts over here, the marriage experts, have been married 3 whole years now. That's a forever amount of
A
time.
long amount of time.
So of course we're experts of this whole thing. We got it. As part of our annual tradition, we celebrate our anniversary. But biannually we go
Biannually?
back to New York City where we got engaged.
That's not right because biannually it means twice a year.
Yeah, it's fucking every other year we go.
Yeah.
And someone raised a good point about this, Elise. We need to get the New York trips on the odd trip or on the even trip
Why?
because you want to go to New York City on year 9 and year 11, not on year 10. Year 10 feels like,
Why not year 5? Year 5 is
well,
important.
yeah, after year 5, we need to move to even is what I'm saying.
But what about 25?
We'll deal with that when we'll be old as fuck then. We'll deal with that when we get to it. It's not important.
75.
Okay. Well, I definitely will be dead.
Yeah, I think I will be too.
Okay. Anyway, we went to New York City, had a wonderful time, but I had one little thorn to pick with New York City, and it's really a thorn with Elise Daly and not New York City as a whole. We
I
waited
picked good
in
places.
We waited in line for a bagel for a real long time.
It was an hour.
It was a real long time.
It was an hour.
Well, here's
it was
the
a little
thing.
less than an hour.
We went to the bagel place on Saturday morning, and there's a really long line, and we waited there for like 20 minutes, and then we said, we're not going to do this. We got places to be. We got things to do.
Because we did really have an appointment at 12:30 we didn't want to miss.
We did. And so we left, and we said, we'll come back tomorrow. We'll wake up super early, and we'll get here before that didn't happen.
Yeah, 'cause
we
who
woke
wants
up
to wake up
super
early
late.
on vacation?
And then so we said, okay, Monday. We leave Monday. Monday is a holiday. All the stupid tourists, not counting us, will be out of the city. So we'll go Monday.
Yeah.
It's still a big old line on Monday, so I got a bagel. It was a really good bagel.
Now, Okay.
Don't you dare make your thorn what I think you're about to make your thorn.
It's not a thorn.
Don't
I'm
do
just
it.
pointing out when we go, Scott decides that I can get, you know what I want, and he's going to get what he wants. I get a cinnamon raisin bagel with strawberry cream cheese. I also, because I waited in line for an hour, got another bagel that I didn't eat at that morning, but just to have another thing for a snack later in the day. I got a whole wheat bagel with banana nut cream cheese.
Really interesting flavors.
And what does my husband get but a plain on plain?
You know, you gotta respect the plain on plain.
You got to slap the plain on plain in the. You wait for an hour in line for a bagel, and you get a plain on plain.
Babe, Essa Bagel, this is the place we went. Essa Bagel is famous for their bagels, for good tasting bagels. And you know what I want? I want to taste the bagel. I want you to show me how your bread recipe is the best. I don't want you
They have well, that's fine. Get the bagel, but then get some of their interesting cream cheeses, like their lox cream cheese, their vegetable, their scallion, their raisin walnut, their blueberry, their chocolate chip.
It's all clouding the taste of the bagel.
But be honest with me, Scott.
What?
Do you promise to be honest?
I will be honest.
What'd you think of that banana nut cream cheese?
It was good. It was no plain on plain.
It's better.
The plain on plain is the way to go, and I will not. I'm switching my thorn. Elyse Daly is my thorn. There we go. 3 years of marriage, and we're finally here.
That's good. I'm glad.
Don't disrespect my plain on plain.
My rose is now that I am your thorn.
Well, hey Elyse, what is your rose though? Seriously.
So we got to build a cake.
We built a cake. Well,
we built a cake for our arriversary.
You have to explain that. You can't just say that. You have to explain that.
So Scott decided that it would be nice for me to be able to get something to do that on the trip that I wanted to do. And so
the whole trip was stuff that you wanted to do.
Yes. Well, I love Milk Bar and I love Christina Tosi, and she opened her flagship store there. And so they have this thing where you can build a cake and you can pick the cake flavor, the icing, the soak, the filling, like all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did one, and then they asked it, and it was delicious. I'm just going to say it was so much fun. I loved the store. It was wonderful.
Recommend.
I highly recommend it. And I'm going to go back, and we're going to stay at the hotel that is right next door because I've wanted to stay there, and I didn't realize that it was connected to that hotel. And then there's another really good coffee shop that's in that hotel that Scott and I went to actually whenever we got engaged. Whatever. So we built the cake, and she was like, "Oh, do you want me to write anything on it?"
Oh my God,
Yes, that's so wonderful. Happy anniversary. Would you please write that on it? So she spells happy anniversary correctly on the thing, on the paper with all of the selections. And then we go to pick up the cake, and Chica does not know how to write N's in cursive.
I can't believe you just said Chica.
Yeah.
Like you're the most. Is this because we've been watching the OC? Is this what watching the OC does to you?
No. I'm just saying people are always wondering, like, why learn cursive? Why is this still important today?
I love how you take this and turn it into a teaching moment, like a freaking education.
You want to know why we still need to teach cursive today?
So you can write on cakes.
Because someday someone is going to have to work in a bakery. It might be part-time. It might be their job full-time. And you know what? You need to learn how to write in cursive so you can write on cakes.
Is this your rose or your thorn? I've lost the trad here.
It's my rose. I got the cake.
This is a good cake. I don't even like cake. It was a pretty good cake.
It's delicious. It's that lemon curd.
We ate that cake. We accomplished.
I'm going to have some more when we're done with this.
I think it was on this show that you were talking about, like, your lifelong goal is to just eat a cake with a fork.
I did it.
And we fucking did it. We did it.
It was really fun.
It was good.
Yeah.
We still got some. Elyse is going to be I'm shocked you're not eating some right now.
Well, you get upset at me when I eat things.
I do. You just don't normally listen to me. So.
When I eat things while I'm recording,
not
just when I eat things
out
in
of
general.
context. When you eat things on the microphone.
Scott doesn't like when I eat.
Oh yeah,
he thinks I shouldn't eat.
I don't support it. Eating is bad. My rose is kind of the whole trip. This is cheating, but also I love going to New York City with you. I love spending time in that city. It snowed while you were there.
Oh, that was magical.
Just beautiful. Mm-hmm. Just the snow. And we thought it was going to snow. We certainly didn't think it was going to stick. And it did. And it was just like this city was blanketed in white snow. And we got to walk around in it. And we saw a good show, not a great show. We saw Jagged Little Pill, the Alanis Morissette musical. For a jukebox musical, pretty good. Not great. Pretty good.
Character Joe. It's the original cast right now on Broadway. We did have some people who I think were fillers just because
It's a Sunday
it was
matinee.
a Sunday.
It's a Sunday matinee, yeah.
But the original cast, especially Joe, is worth going to see it. She was phenomenal.
Yeah, and she got to do, which songs did she do? She did Thank You. I don't remember. I don't know the names of the songs. She did a song that fucking brought the roof down.
She did. She got a standing O.
There were more applause at the end of that song than there were at the end of the freaking play. It was amazing.
That's true.
It's not a great show. That performance made it worth it for me. Great fun.
Hand in My Pocket. That was her.
Hand in My Pocket.
The first one that you liked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, that took me back to the 90s. Definitely listened to some Alanis with my sister back in the day. But it was a good show. Enjoyed it. We also got to see my sister. My sister Cindy was in the city from upstate for the weekend doing some class thing, and we got to hang out with her at lunchtime and then got some drinks after dinner. And so I just had a great time. I always love that trip. Our travel went fine. In fact, we got back earlier than we were supposed to, just magically. So loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Everyone should go check out New York City if you haven't. Love it. All right, we're done.
Great. Yep.
Let's talk about this show we're doing.
Yeah, you talk about it. You take it away, Scott.
All right. The LA is the 22nd episode of season 1 of the OC. It was written by Josh Schwartz. That's 2 in a row our boy has written himself. And directed by David M. Barrett. This is the first and only episode that David Barrett will direct on the OC. It originally aired on March 24th, 2004.
So in this episode, Marissa and Summer run into Grady Bridges, the star of Summer's favorite TV series, The Valley. He invites them and their friends to party in Los Angeles, and they accept. Meanwhile, Ryan and Seth discover the romantic connection between Luke and Marissa's mother, in which Ryan persuades Luke to break it off before Marissa finds out. During the LA party, Grady tries to woo Summer away from Seth, who gets an eyeful of a wealthy socialite lady, while Ryan and Marissa run into Haley Nickel, whom is now working as a stripper, and they call upon Jimmy for help. Back in Newport, Sandy and Jimmy approach Caleb to ask for his help to arrange a get-together for some of Newport Group's wealthy business elite to get funds to open their own restaurant.
There's some rough sentences in that bad boy, but mostly factually accurate, and that's an improvement on earlier in the season.
But your overall thoughts of the episode, Scott?
You know, I liked this one more than I have in the past. Like, Teresa is off the show now, and as much as I appreciated that character, I did not care about that plot line at all. So I'm glad that's over. The Luke and Julie thing finally goes somewhere, which is I've been waiting for this to boil over, and it finally goes there. I didn't like the adult storyline again, and that's been happening the last few episodes where I just don't care much about what's going on in the adults world. And that's a change from, I feel like early in the show I cared more about what was going on with the adults, and I haven't lately. I'm not too into any of this restaurant stuff, but we'll see if it goes somewhere interestingly. But overall, I think it's a good episode. I enjoyed it. Seth and Summer aren't really the focus as much.
Yeah.
It's got Paris Hilton in it, who dates the episode as coming out in the early 2000s. We kind of stopped doing our That's So 2000s because we were having trouble coming up with something every episode. But damn, if anything dates your show in 2004,
it's Paris Hilton.
It's fucking Paris Hilton. Also, Collin Hanks is in this, which I love.
Early
Collin Hanks. And like it's so crazy to me that the Collin Hanks that we see now could play like a lazy like beach dude. Like it's just so weird. But he could pull that off back when he was younger. Not anymore. He just looks like a younger version of his dad. Yeah, I had a good episode. Good episode. What'd you think?
I like it. This is when they start to, I guess, kind of introduce more of the Valley and that show, and it kind of
is that an ongoing show?
It's kind of an ongoing, at least.
It seems like a way of making fun of themselves. Right? Yes, it's a self-reference, and I think we'll talk about a specific point in the episode that specifically is commenting metatextually on the actors of the OC. But we'll get there.
Yeah, but I think it's
so.
Fun.
Yeah,
so
I think it's funny that like two people that live in Newport Beach, the Valley is like the place that they want to be, because I've never heard that before. ever.
No.
Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into the beat by beat.
So this episode, we start with Ryan and Seth after leaving and realizing that Teresa isn't at the hotel anymore. They head back to the Mermaid Inn to pick up Ryan's watch.
Well, this is days later,
I know.
presume,
I'm just saying,
right?
like, yes, we know that Teresa's not there anymore and they're kind of sad, but he's going back. And Ryan is trying to get the watch that he left in Teresa's room.
And Seth is kind of like quizzing him about like why he took off the watch. He's like, while they're doing it, are you a take off the watch guy? Because Seth is a leave on the watch guy because he's got to time himself and see how he's doing, which is
awful.
Fucking. It's funny. It's funny. You don't think that's funny?
I mean, it's Seth.
Do you think he's probably actually like the thing about like that's funny as a joke, but I also
But no,
totally
he would
believe
be seriously
Seth Cohen
doing
is timing
that.
himself. Yeah.
So finally, it is agreed that this is a clean slate for Ryan and that there's going to be no lady drama and it's going to be an angst-free Ryan week.
Yeah, first he says angst-free Ryan month, and then they both decide that's pushing it a little bit. So they declare this officially angst-free Ryan week with an addendum possible for an additional week on the back of that.
Yeah.
But that is
That
not
was very
to be...
short-lived because, Scott, you were so excited that this is the episode where finally it comes out that Luke and Julie are together and they're at the Mermaid Inn. And
Well, it's just like for the past month of our lives, anytime we watch the show and we see someone be at the Mermaid Inn, I get all excited because like they've set this up. Of course, this is going to eventually happen this way, and they just kept not doing it. And then
they have to build.
Finally,
They have to build.
they see Ryan and they're like, "Oh, what's Luke doing here?" And then Luke is suddenly making out hardcore with Julie Cooper, and they are shocked. And then the Vines Ride With Me starts playing, which I love the music in this show. That was an interesting musical choice for this moment.
You know.
And then we get probably the best line in the episode, which is Ryan looking shocked at the Luke and Julie situation and saying, "That didn't even last the night."
California, here we come.
Ryan doesn't get that many moments of actual humor in this show because he's such a humorless character. So whenever Ryan gets a funny joke, I just want to highlight that on the show because Ryan got a funny joke here and I just want to pat him on the back.
He gets them sometimes, but it's like that. It's sarcasm to where you don't really know if he really means for it to be funny.
Yeah. He's never actually trying to be funny because I don't think he knows how.
No, he definitely doesn't know how.
Anyway, we come back from the intro credits and it's the next morning and Ryan and Seth are still kind of reeling from the Luke and Julie of it all. They both agree that it has to end before Marissa finds out, and then they both agree that it should be Ryan that deals with telling Luke and doing that, and that starts the kind of the whole trend of this episode is the brains and the brawn of the operation. This is a joke that's repeated like 6 times between the two of them. Cohen is like, "You're the brawn. I'm up in my ivy tower solving the problems. You're the one out there on the street doing the deals." And so he sends Ryan to do all the dirty work, which, I mean,
It's true.
It actually does make sense because I think Ryan is like in a real friendship with Luke. Like if Cohen walked up to Luke and was like, "Hey, stop fucking Julie Cooper," that would be different than if Ryan did it.
Ryan and Luke bonded over Oliver. Mm-hmm. And so they understand each other.
Totally.
So Sandy and Jimmy are also friends now, and they're completely out of money for this restaurant that isn't even close to being done. And Sandy's kind of upset because he realizes that Jimmy's not so good at managing the money.
I love that
Lo
line.
and behold.
You're not so good at managing the money, Coop, which like might be a too soon line because like remember he just barely dodged prison for all that money mismanagement.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting that it's interesting to me that not only is he in charge of the books, which I think makes sense because that's his background, but that Sandy Cohen would not like review the books. Like I know we're trying this whole fresh slate with Jimmy thing and like he's not a bad guy, he just made some bad choices, but man, if you fuck up financially,
maybe you need a little bit of hand holding to get yourself right.
Maybe they need like an actual CPA to come in here and like fucking check this stuff out and not leave it all up to Jimmy Cooper.
Yeah.
But I mean, the actual problem at hand here is sometimes just like if you're starting a business, things just cost more than you think they're going to be. So they're just out of money. It makes sense.
So around the other adults is Kirsten, who randomly gets a letter from Haley in the middle of this and lets everyone know that Haley is now an aerobics instructor at Club Med, which we find out later, no, she's not.
This is one of those moments in the show, though, that like it's almost as if they got a note that was like, you need to establish Haley earlier than the strip club scene.
Because everyone will have forgotten who she was and what she's doing.
Yeah. Well, because it's so like in the middle of this conversation between Jimmy and Sandy about money and what they're going to do, Kirsten's just randomly like, oh, I got a letter. Oh, it's from Haley. She's at Club Med and working there as an aerobics instructor. And it's just like, to me, it's so transparently setting up the strip club thing that I don't know, like even before I knew that was going to happen, I was like, okay, so we're doing something weird with Haley. Like it's just so out of the blue, you know?
Yeah. Well, with all that's going on with Sandy and Jimmy and them running out of money, they realize that they need to spend less money. So whenever it comes to designing the restaurant, they need to find a cheap, if not free, interior designer.
And who could do that?
You know who has proved her interior design techniques?
Who?
With the help of Kirsten.
Who's that?
Again, is Julie.
Yeah. How she's successful. I guess she did do The Offices successfully, even though she still got fired.
With all of Kirsten's hookups because she tried to do it on her own.
No, that was the model
work.
home, remember? The model home is what she tried to do it on her own, and then Kirsten came in and saved her. I'm pretty sure she did The Offices entirely by herself.
Whatever. Anyways, so Julie's going to go and bug Jimmy again.
But Jimmy does not feel good about this, obviously.
Yeah.
He calls the restaurant his happy place, and he doesn't want Julie infringing on his happy place. But, you know, in this world of Newport Beach, there's only like 10 people in the entire town. Yeah. So, of course, Julie's going to have to be the one to do it.
Yeah. But now there's 11 because as Summer and Coop are walking along the beach and talking about how Coop just needs to be single for now, they bump into number 11, Grady Bridges.
You don't say that like he's a member of the show now. Grady Bridges, a.k.a. Collin Hanks, is not on the show from
You don't
now
know
on.
how long he's on the show.
Yeah, I do. This episode.
How do you know that?
Because Collin Hanks is a busy man. He does not have time to be on the OC.
In the 2000s, early 2000s.
Well, I mean, this the funny thing about this, though, is this is kind of a meta reference, right? Because in 2002, Collin Hanks was a star of a movie called The Orange County. That movie also used the song California in it. I forgot who they were.
That's exactly why they did this.
Well,
Phantom Planet.
The Phantom Planet. Thank you. They used that song, and actually, that's why the creators of this song. I think we talked about this in the first episode.
We did
put that in as like a temp song because they thought there's no way we could use that because they used it on this movie. But they did it anyway. So this brings this whole meta thing. Like all of this is meta. The Valley as a show is meta. Collin Hanks being this character on the show is meta. All of it is meta, and it's. Look, I like meta stuff. I think it's funny, and so I'm in on this. I'm in on Collin Hanks.
You loved the reason as to why Summer even described why she's obsessed with Grady Bridges because he's not traditionally attractive, Cohen, but he's very funny, Cohen, and improvises his own lines. Cohen.
So this is you might know a little bit more about the show than I do.
Yeah.
Is this a reference? I mean, obviously, it's a reference to Adam Brody.
Yeah.
But does Adam Brody improvise his own lines?
So whenever Adam Brody auditioned for the show, he improvised the scene. And that was the reason he actually did not get it at first. Because Josh Schwartz was so upset that he did that. And then he ended up giving it to him because he had him come back and was like, this guy is really good. Perfect. And everybody else liked him. So yes.
Love it. Perfect.
Yes,
Love
that is why.
Love it.
Anyways, so Grady invites Summer and Marissa to his birthday party in LA because...
Hey, question.
Why would... Anyways.
Look, I know they're attractive women. They are. The actresses are very good looking. I'm assuming he's an adult. Like a full-grown adult. Because they actually make a joke about how ridiculous it is that he's playing high school. Which is another meta joke. Because it's ridiculous that these clear adults are playing high schoolers. But...
he'd be in his early 20s.
Yeah. I don't know, babe. I remember being in my early 20s. You know who I didn't want at any of my parties?
15-year-olds.
15 and 16-year-olds. No. That's weird, Grady. That's weird as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's necessary for the plot of this episode to work, but gross.
Yeah. It's bad.
So, our Is Seth Creepy segment is changing to is Grady creepy?
Seth 2.0.
And the answer is totally.
he is.
Totally. We also get this recurring line that happens throughout this entire episode. Camera phones are the autograph of the 21st century. And I guess that was a great line in 2004 and when camera phones were like a new cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you said that in 2020, people would look at you like you're an idiot.
Yeah, probably. So Julie Cooper is looking at photos of the lighthouse, deciding if she wants to help Sandy and Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
She sees that there's exposed brick. It's a big 80s, but these things are cyclical.
She's right, though. Maybe in 2004, exposed brick wasn't hot, but
it's hot.
It's now. Yeah, exposed brick is huge right now.
Yeah.
So look at that. Julie Cooper from 15 years ago. Correct.
Yeah. And now if only that was the trend then, it could have saved Sandy and Jimmy so much money.
She agrees to work for exposure. And I just want to, if any of you out there are like a struggling writer or content creator on the internet and someone offers to let you do something for exposure, don't do it.
And let's be real.
Don't do it.
Julie's exposed enough.
Yeah, she's exposing herself to children.
Yeah.
Don't work for exposure. If you do something on the internet, get paid for it.
Yeah.
Get paid for it. Get paid for it.
No favors.
Don't write for free. Don't write for free. Don't do any of that stuff for free. Exposure's bullshit. Yeah. Doof Media would never ask anyone to do anything for exposure. What?
It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Julie says that this job is going to cost low six figures to finish the remodel and suggests that they get Caleb to help.
So we just keep bringing all the terrible characters into the lighthouse.
Why not bring them all together into one stew?
Here's the interesting thing about this for me. Kirsten offers to loan money to the project as well, but Sandy turns her down because Sandy says, like, no, this is my thing. I want this to be my thing separate from your thing. That was the whole point. But then he ends up saying, okay, fine, we'll ask Caleb. Like, if he's already making it not his thing, wouldn't it be better to get money from your wife?
Because you want to know why?
Your father-in-law that you hate?
Sandy's already gone into business with Caleb.
That's true.
So now Caleb owes him.
And you got the dirt. It's dirty. Just doing the crimes.
It's true.
Doing the crimes.
So back at school, Ryan just wants to ask, so did you have sex with Julie Cooper today?
Just the most casual way of bringing this up to Luke ever.
Oh, and Luke is just like caught aback.
Oh yeah, like I think
hilarious.
He's shooting pool at the time because of course their fucking place has pool and they just do it. They just play pool between classes because that's a normal school thing.
That's what I did.
It's a normal high school thing.
You didn't do that?
No.
Oh, you're weird. Anyways, so Ryan tells Luke to end it while they're out in LA, but Luke has never felt this way about a woman before.
Which is kind of like,
Luke wants to be Marissa's stepdad, basically.
Yeah, what is his plan here? No one thinks these things through.
He's awful.
It's because he's a child.
I know. So Seth is watching The Valley and freaking out about Grady Bridges because how is Seth supposed to compete with Grady Bridges? And Grady Bridges is Seth Cohen, except has his own TV show.
Yeah.
And Seth wants to know, if you could have the real me or the TV me, which one would you take?
Which one would you take? Would you take real Seth or TV Seth?
I would take real Seth.
I would take real Seth too. Seth, you gotta believe in yourself, buddy.
Confidence, Cohen.
Confidence, Cohen.
Oh.
Rest in peace, Anna. Her plane crashed on the way to Pittsburgh.
No, it did not.
It's real tragic.
It did not.
Yeah, I made that up.
So Marissa thinks that she and Ryan really need to have some time apart from each other. So she decided that she's not going to go to LA to the party, and instead she's just going to go hang out with her mom, which completely ruins all of Ryan's plans for Luke and Julie to have the confrontation that he needs to for them to break up. Therefore, Ryan decides he's going to be the one to go to Coop and convince her in order to go to LA, which then makes her think, oh, maybe he's actually still interested in me, and she just needs to let that die.
Yeah. Well, it's not her fault, like, because he's sending this really confusing signal, right?
Well, yeah,
because
he's sending mixed signals, but
he comes up there and he says, to really be independent, we both need to go together, but independently. And she says, you're starting to sound a lot like Seth. And he says, yeah, he really wears off on you. But yeah, I mean, this is the start of what ends up being just a disaster of a plan, because he's inadvertently leading her on. She assumes that he wants her there because he wants her there, which is, I think,
But he wants her there to just get her away from her mom.
Yeah, but I think it's a fair assumption on her part, and one he should probably realize. And it's not going to go well.
Not good at
Spoilers,
realizing these
not going to
things.
go well.
No. So, yes, this is then Seth and Ryan. Ryan has to convince another group of people in order to go to LA, and that is both of the parents to
they
try.
Say yes. I can't believe that. I wouldn't say yes. Would you say if okay? A thought experiment.
Okay.
We live in Dallas. Our 16-year-old kid wants to go to a party in Fort Worth. That might not, it might be closer to like Austin. I don't know. Newport. I mean, with the traffic, it might take that long. But no, okay, Fort Worth. Would you just let him?
Who's driving?
Yeah, these are good questions. Who's driving? Where's the party at?
Will there be alcohol?
Is it going to be a stripper party? Apparent, because I think that's a good question to ask.
Well, now you know to ask that question.
That's the first. When we have kids, it's the first question I'm going to ask. Will there be strippers at this party?
What's a stripper?
So wait, I'm asking this to a 6-year-old? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying
in this scenario,
your children will be very naive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Caleb finally comes over to talk with Sandy, and he agrees to help him out because he owes Sandy a favor. So like what you were talking about before, It was the crimes. It was the crimes that they did. He agrees to help him out. And they come up with this plan to have their chef, Marco, cook a bunch of food for all the quote-unquote tastemakers of Newport Beach. Caleb just happened to be meeting them that night for dinner to talk about, I don't know, whatever rich business people talk about. And
seedy Sandy now.
And so they're like, hey, let's just have him over at Casa Cohen and we'll cook him all the foods and then they'll talk about it and everyone will love the lighthouse. And it's a good plan. It's a good plan.
Yeah. So on the way to LA, the whole gang starts to talk about who they're excited to meet in LA. Summer says she wants to meet Orlando Bloom, who I'm pretty sure in real life Rachel Bilson dated Orlando Bloom for a time.
Oh, that's funny. I get it.
Yeah. He saved Middle Earth, and that's a very important part of European history.
Summer.
And then
Summer.
Seth wants to meet Keira Knightley, Natalie Portman, and Kate Bosworth.
That's a good list. I mean, it's a very 2004 list, but it's a good list.
I mean, Natalie Portman. I would love to meet Natalie Portman.
How old was Keira Knightley in 2004? She's very young.
I think she's my older sister's age, so you're younger than you. So how old were you in 2004?
Oh, wait. No, she's my age. She was born in 1985.
Yeah.
So she was 19. Okay, I'll allow it. I'll allow it, Cohen.
Okay. So Luke goes to break up with Julie, but they bang instead because
of course.
Luke has no self-control and Julie doesn't know what she's doing right now.
Hooray. That's not going to end bad. So we move back to LA and the party is at a place called Luna Chicks. Cool. It's a strip club, maybe? Except
exotic dancers.
They don't strip because it's network TV.
Yeah.
They call them strippers, but they have all their clothes on because it's network TV.
Yeah.
And then here's the joke where they see Brady and they're like, how does that guy play high school? And they're like, yeah. And it's another meta joke. Get it? Because they're all in their 20s and playing high schoolers.
And then again, in order to prove that this is a 2000 show, Seth bumps into Paris Hilton because, Grady Bridges and Paris Hilton would be hanging out at the same strip club.
Why is Paris Hilton? Okay, so
it's a good question.
Look, I get it. In 2004, it's like Paris Hilton. Oh my God.
Nicole Richie.
Yeah, Paris and Nicole. Oh my God. And this is the biggest thing ever. I don't like Paris Hilton.
I don't either.
And
I'm glad she's gone away.
Yeah, it's very happy that.
And you know who she's replaced with?
Who's she replaced with?
The Kardashians.
Yeah, but maybe, I don't know.
Just let them go away.
Maybe it's just I'm like of a certain age where I don't fucking deal with that at all. Like I know that they're still doing stuff.
I just get frustrated that on my e-news and like all of my tabloid stuff, it's every day.
I mean,
every day they do something and it's just dumb in order to stay in the tabloid. And I always just skip over that story because I'm like, You have nothing going for you in real life.
I mean,
what are you even famous for?
Your first mistake was reading tabloid news. What did you think's going to happen on a tabloid?
Scott, don't even play that card. Everyone knows what good stuff is on tabloid stuff.
None. Nothing. Zero.
Harry and Meghan.
I don't care. I cannot stress him out how much I do not care about
Harry and Meghan.
Why?
Because it's such an interesting part of the royal history.
So Ryan and Coop bump into Haley. She just so happens to be a stripper at the Not Strip Club. And it's really super awkward.
Hold up. I thought she was an aerobics instructor, Scott.
No, turns out that was just a ruse. So Sandy...
So strippers are called aerobics instructors?
Yeah, actually. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a little known fact. It's how you can say, I'm going to my aerobics class when you actually are going to the strip club. So,
my bar class.
yeah. They call Sandy to ask for help right away, which is actually like the best plan Ryan's ever had. Just call the adult and be like, hey,
I'm at a strip club.
I found my aunt at this strip club. What should I am glad that I think I've gotten through the point in my life where I could ever call my father with, hey, I found my aunt at a strip club. What should I do? Dodge that bullet. Not going to ever have to make that call.
It's good.
So I feel like I'm winning.
What about your uncles?
I don't want to talk about them. I don't want to talk about my uncles. No. I refuse. The important part of this phone call is that Jimmy is standing there and Jimmy overhears basically everything that Sandy is talking about. And of course, we have this long established thing between Jimmy and Haley.
Yeah. So Caleb and Sandy are having disagreements about the vision of the lighthouse because Sandy wants meatloaf and Caleb wants not meatloaf. Even though, if you remember a couple of episodes ago, Caleb wanted the meatloaf before he left the conversation with Sandy. He was like, oh, is that meatloaf? Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure he likes the meatloaf.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He's billing the lighthouse as this beacon for rich people.
Yeah.
And that is not what Sandy and Jimmy wanted it to be. They wanted it to be good old fashioned Newport food, Nana's meatloaf kind of stuff.
Oh, why don't you put like bison in the meatloaf and these high quality?
That's not Nana's meatloaf.
Like bison and ground reindeer.
What the fuck? What are you doing to Rudolph?
I'm just trying to make it more exotic.
I don't want it. I don't want to eat Rudolph.
So anyways, while you and I are arguing over this meatloaf, just like Caleb and Sandy, Jimmy decides to go and save Haley with all of this new knowledge about what she's actually doing.
Yeah. It's it's funny because like Jimmy was kind of being led into this trap, right? Jimmy wants this place to be successful. Unlike Sandy, this is all Jimmy has, so he's like really worried about its success. But like it's almost as if because what he's learned about Haley, it like inspires him to stand up for himself, and he pushes up against Caleb and is like, "No, if we're not doing it our way, I'm out." And he just storms off and leaves. And of course, he's leaving to go get Haley.
And meanwhile, Paris Hilton is pushing up against Seth Cohen for some reason.
I don't understand. Like, there's no show. Like, you're really pushing at the world that Paris Hilton would suddenly see Seth Cohen and be like, "Yeah, that I want it." But here's the part that really pushes beyond the pale. Apparently,
don't underestimate Paris.
In the world of the OC, Paris Hilton is getting her PhD in magical realism in American literature.
Scott, if Kim Kardashian can get her law degree, then Paris Hilton can get her PhD.
Did she get her law degree?
She's getting a law degree.
I don't believe that. They're going to hand her a piece of paper because she's going to give them a lot of money. So, okay. So she name drops Thomas Pynchon and calls Gravity's Rainbow a masterpiece, which is when we know officially that she's lying because nobody has ever actually finished Gravity's Rainbow. It's just, she's a liar. You're a liar, Paris Hilton. You're a liar.
This isn't that one book that we watched that one movie and they were like...
Yeah, in Knives Out, they reference Gravity's Rainbow. Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh. Yes. Way to go, the OC, doing that before Knives Out.
It's funny. Like, the reason it's funny is because that's a book is... No.
It's a big
Paris
book.
Hilton has not read Gravity's Rainbow. I would bet
I haven't read it
my
either.
fortune against all of Paris Hilton's fortune that she has not read Gravity's Rainbow. That's why it's a joke. See, because it's kind of weird because like it's taking the piss out of Paris Hilton. Like the reason this joke works is because it's hilarious that Paris Hilton would be intelligent and care about books, and it's so funny that
she
would just be. I guess she's like that's her whole thing though. Is she's like so desperate for attention that she doesn't care what manner it comes from because she's. Did she get famous specifically because of the porn tape, or is that just Kim Kardashian? Because I know there was a Paris Hilton sex tape.
There's probably one for everyone.
Well, yeah, I know, but the Paris Hilton one was really huge. Paris Hilton and the Kim Kardashian sex tapes were like massive. Anyway, that's enough, Paris Hilton. We're done with her forever. Forever.
So meanwhile, Summer runs off with the not real Seth Cohen, the Collin Hanks, who wants to show her a new episode of the TV show. Actually, he just wants to take her to the van and then hook up with her and watch the show.
No, she just wants to watch the show.
Oh, she wants to watch the show, but he wants to hook up with her in the van.
Yeah. And that's when she gives the line, "I wish I was from the Valley," which I can assure you nobody from Newport Beach has ever said.
Except for Summer.
No.
So, she said it. So yeah, except for Summer.
I guess you got me beat there, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the rest of the gang tries to rescue Haley from the strip club, and they get into a fight with the owners because who does Ryan not get in a fight
Oh my God,
with?
he just escalates right to physical contact like that. Always.
Yeah.
Always. Hey, question.
You know what? It's okay. I kind of do that myself.
No, you don't.
Scott.
Guys, she beats me. She beats me.
I escalate to tickling.
Help me.
Don't.
Help me.
Scott.
Help. Elyse, question.
What?
Is stripping bad? The silence.
Interesting question.
Here's my point. Like there are a lot
People
of
need money.
There are a lot of people out there.
There
that
are
do
people
this
that
job.
need money.
Yeah, they do this job because it makes them money, and they need money, and
Mm-hmm.
like I think it's a respectable. Like if that's what you want to do, if it's your choice and that's what you want to do, knock yourself out and do it. I also understand. Like I think the show like borders lines on making it seem like stripping is this disgusting habit and we must save this person from it because surely no one would ever want to do this. They must always just have to do this, which is not true. However, I also like at the same time, if I found out my sister was stripping, I would probably be like, "Hey, do you need help? Like do you need some money? Like I can help you." Like so I go back and forth on it, you know? Like I don't want to like demonize every person who does stripping or sex work. Like I don't want to, but also I don't think I'd want my family doing that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in Hustlers, it's a very physical act. You know, it's quite a talent.
Well, yeah. I mean, they like a lot of them are very, very good dancers.
I would probably not want that to be my profession or anyone's profession who I know.
Sure.
Not because I think it's not because it's bad for them. I think that the idea of it is not very supported, you know? And so it's for someone else. I would wish for something that they're
Sure.
proud of.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. So I understand.
Maybe they're proud of that.
But like the thing that the show says is that she's not like Haley. Like I think we learn a little bit later that like the job that she had lined up fell through and she needed money immediately. And so she took this job and she's not happy about it. But I think we do kind of skirt that line of like saying, oh, all strippers must be rescued, which is not the case at all.
Yeah.
At all. All right. So they're kicked out, but they need to go back in to rescue Haley because all strippers need to be rescued. So they're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is my favorite part of the episode. It is a sheer wall that they're leaning up against. And Seth says, I'm just going to scale this. And he tries to wall run up the wall, immediately slips, falls down, and says, that's kind of dewy. I'm just going to go around. It's so good.
It's because Seth is the best.
He is.
Yeah.
But they do eventually get back in the club, at least because of a brilliant, smart move on behalf of Marissa Cooper. They walk over to the VIP entrance section of the club, and then Marissa just pretends Ryan is famous and a star of the show, The Valley. And it works because a lot of times you just pretend someone's famous, everyone will listen. I did that in Vegas once. We just decided one of my friends was famous, and we just all treated him as famous, and a couple of us were his bodyguards, and it worked so well.
It's because people don't really know what real people look like.
Yes,
and,
it works so well.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a suit and you just stand in front of the bathroom of a casino and say, you're not allowed to come in here because my famous boss is in here, they'll just turn away. It's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
Anyway, it works. So they get into the VIP section, but then we cut back into the car. Summer is now watching Grady's dailies. Do you know what dailies are?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, and then listening to his shitty band's music, and it's just like Grady is like the most self-absorbed piece of shit ever. He tries to kiss her, and she freaks the hell out and pulls back and like smacks him. And this
Because
is
she likes Seth.
and this is just I bring this up only to show like 2 weeks running, Summer remains like best fucking girlfriend ever. Like there this kind of B plot of this whole thing is that like Grady's really into him, into Summer, and so because Paris Hilton is giving attention to Seth, he like doesn't bat it away immediately because like it's like there's this power struggle between the two. Yeah. But I think Summer handles it like way better than Seth does, which is becoming a theme on the show of Summer handling everything better than Seth does because Seth is kind of a little stupid. But that's that.
And then Grady's co-star comes up, who he's actually dating outside of the show. And Summer is saying how that's such a bad idea.
Yeah, it's such a bad idea to date your co-star at like in real life because what if you break up? What happens?
I don't think they were officially dating at
They
this
were.
point.
I looked it up.
They were?
I looked it up.
Okay.
They officially started dating in 2003, it said. So this is 2004 by the time this episode came out.
Okay.
So they were officially dating, and the writers and the cast and everyone knew they were officially dating. So this is them. It's funny because like it's referencing their relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know if we explained properly what we mean. Rachel Bilson and Adam Brody dated for years. I think they dated
while
for
they were
like
on the show.
3 years while they were on the show.
I forget if they were dating during the last season or not.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And we'll get to why I don't think so.
So this is the show poking fun at the fact that the two of them are dating, but the show is also bringing up good points because like what if you break up? I mean, you would assume actors being professionals would just deal with it.
You would assume,
But I mean,
it doesn't always happen that way.
There's some hidden magic here, right? Like we've long talked about how the chemistry between those two characters is really, really great, and I think it's because the chemistry between those two actors is really, really great. So if you disrupt that by having a not great breakup, what could it do to your show? I don't know. We'll see. I think because we do know that they do not stay together because Rachel Bilson goes and marries Anakin Skywalker,
and then now she's dating Bill Hader
and has a baby with him. She has a baby with Anakin Skywalker,
and now dating Bill Hader.
And then Adam Brody has a baby with I forget who else. He dates
Blair
someone.
Waldorf.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yes,
the teen. Was she
Seth Cohen? It's the OC and Gossip Girl.
Yeah,
both
coming
shows by
together.
Josh Schwartz.
It's this match made in heaven.
Yeah. So they all try to get Haley out again, and then they get thrown out again. But this time, Jimmy shows up to save the day.
Yay, Jimmy saves the day. And he's going to take Haley home, and the kids go off on their own. So then we are walking through the streets of LA, and that's when we go back to our brains and brawn. And each member of the group is assigned a role. The brains is Seth Cohen. The brawn is Ryan Cooper. The beauty is Marissa Cooper. And Ryan's the one that suggests that one, which again, with our whole giving her
too much.
You're giving her bad signs. And then of course, Summer is the bitch, or rather, first he says the boobs, and then she hits him, and then he changes to the bits, and she's like, "Fine, I'll take the boobs," which is funny, but also Seth, man, treat your girlfriend better than that.
Yeah.
Treat your girlfriend better than that, Seth.
So Jimmy comes back with Haley, who is looking terrible.
Yeah, like in between like her being at the strip club, I guess they've removed all her makeup and then put on is doing bad makeup.
Yeah.
And she looks rough. She
They
looks real
all
rough.
lie to Kirsten instead of telling the truth about where Haley was because they're trying to protect Kirsten.
Yeah, because everyone knows, right? Because Jimmy knows, Sandy knows,
All the
Caleb
kids
knows
know.
because Sandy told Caleb where Jimmy went. So all of them, Julie might not know, but presumably she will.
Yeah. That's Penny. We missed her.
Penny's scratching her collar. So yeah, they keep Kirsten in the dark on this, which is probably a good call because I don't think Kirsten would do well with this at all. Right?
Yeah, right. But everyone is really appreciative of what Jimmy did for Haley and with the success of the meatloaf dinner.
Yeah.
Caleb agrees to join the project as a silent partner, which...
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
We'll see about that.
And they're going to be doing things their way.
Yeah, but he was all worried about how the meatloaf was going to go over with these fancy people, and of course it went over great because it's Nana's fucking meatloaf. It's
and
excellent.
everybody loves comfort food when you're like used to all this snobby cuisine.
Sometimes you want just a fucking loaf of meat instead of like a little one shrimp with a little bit of green sauce.
You know that nice restaurant that we went to last night?
Yes.
I almost got the meatloaf from there because I was like, oh.
When I saw that meatloaf, I was thinking about this show.
Oh,
and
did you really?
I was like, I can't order it, but I was thinking about the show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Luke breaks up with Julie Cooper. Hooray! And she immediately calls Caleb because booty call.
Yeah, just like her daughter just jumps from man to man, so does Julie Cooper.
Mm-hmm. And we come again to the end where Marissa is once again in the pool house hanging out with Ryan.
And okay, so there's a lot of sexual tension here. I think this show wants us to believe there's a lot of sexual tension here, but I'm not buying it. It's just awkward. Like they're like pillow fighting, and I just felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I just felt uncomfortable. But anyway, the pillow fight ends, and
Marissa goes to the bathroom.
goes to the bathroom,
bloop, bloop, bloop.
and then Luke bloop bloop bloops in, and says, "It's over. I'm done having sex with Julie Cooper," which is just like I know why he has to say it this way, right? He has to say it this way
so that Marissa
can hear it and then find out. But like, there's no way anyone would ever talk like that. Like, there's no. It's over, man. I did it. I called it off. No.
I mean, I could see Luke doing that.
It's over. I am done having sexual intercourse with Julie Cooper, Marissa's mother.
I mean, he doesn't say that.
No, but he's basically saying that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Marissa is now both shocked at the news and the realization that the only reason Ryan was so interested in her being in LA was because he wanted her gone for this.
Yeah, so it's like a double whammy, right? Like not only does she learn that her ex-boyfriend and her mother have betrayed her to the core, but that Ryan was a part of it, and then all the signals that she was getting were wrong.
Yep.
And misinterpreted. And it's just like bam, bam, one on top of the other. So we should say this is episode 22 of 27. So we are moving into the final 5 episodes of the season. And I think our original like starting point thing of Marissa Cooper has issues with drugs and alcohol. I think we're going to come back around to that again. Yeah, I think this is going to be what sends Coop on the bender of all benders. Like,
we shall see.
She almost killed herself when her parents split up. Now she learns that her mother fucked her ex. So, yeah.
Lots might happen. Mm-hmm. And we'll see what happens next week on episode 23. But before we do that, we're going to see how each of our relationships did after this week's episode.
That's right.
Relationship status. So this week, we're again going to start with Coop and Ryan. Last week, Coop and Ryan were a 4 to 10. There were some moments throughout this episode where it seemed like Coop and Ryan were going to fall right back into a relationship, Scott, but the surprise revelation at the end of it and Ryan's part in it doesn't bode well for that progress. So, Scott, we're going to be forced to bump them down back to a 2 out of 10.
Ooh, I was really rooting for those two.
Were you?
No.
Yeah, there's nothing there for them.
All
okay.
Right. Next up, we have Seth and Summer. Last week, we gave them a 7 out of 10. Despite the fact that this episode seemed destined to bring Seth and Summer into conflict with each other, they navigated this Collin Hanks and Paris Hilton thingy with aplomb. Summer continues to be the best damn girlfriend ever, and therefore, I give him an 8 out of 10. Good job, Seth and Summer.
That sounds good.
Most specifically, good job, Summer.
And now we're going to come to our favorite couple, Sandy and Kirsten Cohen. Last week, they were at an 8 out of 10. Despite the fact that the events of last week seemed destined to bring these two into conflict, this episode was light on the relationship between Sandy and Kirsten. Scott Caleb being involved in the restaurant might cause some conflict in the future, but I'm happy to put these two back at a 9 out of 10.
I like that 9 out of 10. I agree with it. And that makes Sandy and Kirsten Cohen our couple of the week.
Well, spoilers for all the rest of the couples.
No.
They're not going to be a 9 out of 10.
No, nobody expects Julie Cooper and Caleb Nickel to be a 9 out of 10. Last week, Julie Cooper and Caleb Nickel were a 4 out of 10. With sexy Luke time finally over, Julie turns back to old habits with old dicks. Caleb and Julie are back in business, baby. Let's give them a 6 out of 10.
This week, Luke and Julie, last week were 1 out of 10, and thank God it's finally over. We're moving them to a 0 out of 10.
And that means
they will be dismissed.
Gone from the list.
All right,
I don't
Scott.
think that relationship could possibly survive Marissa Cooper knowing about it.
Okay. What do you think about Teresa and Ryan, Scott?
All right, well, last week we gave Teresa and Ryan a 1 out of 10. They were on death's door, and this time we opened the door and let death right in. Teresa is off screen, out of the show, and it says back with Eddie. So they're off the board as well. We're giving them a 0 out of 10. I reserve the right to put these bad boys back on the board at any moment because we can't be done with conflict in this show. I still think Oliver is going to come back, so we're never done with conflict. But for now, we're writing these two off. 0 out of 10.
And our last relationship of this week, Jimmy and Haley. But these two are back, baby.
Woo-hoo.
Jimmy heroically rescues Haley from the evils of being a stripper who is not naked.
Thank God for Jimmy Cooper.
They're finally at a 5 out of 10.
That's the best we can do. It's the best we can do, Jimmy and Haley.
Exactly.
Maybe make out once and we'll up you.
Okay. Well, Scott, what do you think is going to happen next week on episode 23, The Nana?
Well, this is one that's pretty easy because we've been talking about Nana's meatloaf for a month. So I'm going to guess in the episode titled The Nana, the titular Nana of Nana's meatloaf is going to arrive, possibly shocked to learn that her meatloaf is being put as the centerpiece.
My meatloaf?
The centerpiece of his new restaurant. I don't know. So Nana Cohen is definitely going to be there. That's going to be fun because I'm sure she's I bet I can see her being kind of like Seth. I can see them doing a kind of like Seth thing with Nana. And I bet Seth and Nana get along really well. That's the instinct I got going on here. We're also going to have to deal with the whole Julie and Marissa Cooper thing, and that's going to be a fucking disaster. The interesting thing about this thing is I wonder if Caleb finds out about it. And if he does, what that's going to do to their relationship. So I'm going to say that I don't think he finds out about it. I don't think Caleb is going to know about this whole thing, which means it's really just going to be, instead of Julie Cooper dealing with the whole town knowing, it's really just going to be dealing with her daughter feeling destroyed and betrayed and what that's going to do.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. So if you like this podcast, you can go check out all of the other shows that we do over at doofmedia.com.
And that includes our brand new show, Kingslingers, a Dark Tower podcast where I and my co-host Matt journey through Stephen King's The Dark Tower series chapter by chapter. This coming Thursday, we have part 2, which covers chapter 2 and 3 of The Gunslinger, the first book in that series. So if you have read those books before and love them, or have never touched them, it's a perfect time to join us on our journey. Do it now. Elyse is going to be doing it, she says. We'll see about that.
I might just be a little delayed. But also you can consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/doofmedia.
/ No.
Also, if you happen to be listening via Apple Podcasts, why don't you just go ahead on over there and drop us a rating and review?
Just down over there, drop us a rating and review.
You can do that for our podcast or any of the other ones that you listen to from Doof Media.
Kingslingers. Sling those kings.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, guys. We will see you next week for The Nana.
Bye.
The banana. Farewell from the OC. Bitches.